Brass with solid minds, no tales of the strange. In Sasquatch Secrets, they'll begin to rearrange. Truth's the vibe, we're on a quest. Look beyond the trees, what do you see? Factual stories redefining history. No myths, no magic, let's break the mold. With every word spoken, the wonders unfold. Footprints in the snow, not just a myth. Data and research will sift through the pith. Tales of a creature, but science leads the way. Nikki's quest for knowledge, come join and stay.
And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sasquatch Secrets, where we search for truth behind the mystery and not just the myth. So today's episode, again, a little bit different. We're not talking about a decades-old sighting in the deep Pacific Northwest or an encounter passed down through generations. No, we're heading straight into the world of Facebook hoaxes and keyboard warriors, unfortunately, right? We see it every day out there. The subject, a so-called Yeti found in Mount St. Helens, Washington in 1981. That's the story, okay? That's what was brought up on a Facebook page. The post was circulated and it got huge amount of number of people that believed in this post, okay? The photos were vague, right? Nothing there. The story was thin, and yet many people believed it. Even worse, when I stepped in to point out the facts about it, even with receipts, I was attacked, kind of attacked by some folks. And I don't know, they tried to say I didn't know what I was talking about. So here we are. Today, we're going to lay it all out, what the Yeti de Bourganeuf hoax actually was, why people believe it, and what it says about belief in the Bigfoot world. That's our topic for today. So let's go over to the chit chatty there and see who's around. We've got who was first today? I was first today. Oh, Henry May. Henry, good to see you. Henry, it's always good to see you here. Well, you missed the last two shows. That's okay. No worries. Go back and watch them. They were pretty good. One of them was 3 hours long, I think. 2.5, 3 hours long. So, yeah, go put that on when you're watching your drinking your coffee in the morning. Be perfect. Lulu Bell, welcome back. Let's see, who do we got? I'm looking at the wrong. I should be looking over there, but I'm looking at this side. Scott Walker, welcome. Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while either. I'm glad you've made it back. Then we've got there's Jonathan, Sasquatch Wizard Adirondacks. Good to see you. Sharon. And your name kind of changed there, Sharon. Did you change your name? Why does it look like that? Am I looking at the wrong thing? It's so weird. Okay. Anyway, I'm sure people are going to be filtering in as they know I've gone live. They said, hi, Scott. I didn't see. And there's Sandwich Savant just came in. Oh, there's Brown Dwarf. That's Glenn, everybody. Yeah, everybody's starting to kind of pop back in. So now you know what the topic is. We're going to go over this Yeti de Bourganeuf. And I have a 2-minute video that I had put together, and I have it on my channel. And when people talk about or bring up the photos of the Yeti. Okay. And this is what we're talking about here. Okay. The Yeti de Bourganeuf. Okay. People mistake it for the Minnesota Iceman. They claim it was this last claim. The guy claimed it was from 1981 from Mount St. Helens, that it was a body found on the top of Mount St. Helens. Okay. Which is so far from the truth. Seriously. So far from the truth. And so I'm going to play this video for you. And I'll probably take myself out of here so that you guys can get a bigger view of this video. And it'll kind of run down everything about the Yeti, and then we'll talk about it after that. Okay. So let me see. How do I make it bigger? Nope, that made me bigger. There we go. And now we will hit that play.
The Yeti de Bourganeuf. In March 1997, a supposed Yeti corpse went on display at a fair in the town of Bourganeuf in southwest France. It measured 2.63 meters, or approximately 8 feet 7.5 inches. Investigator Christian Lanoyle attempted to find the answers, but instead got stories about Tibetan monks finding it in an avalanche, then trying to hide it in a well from the Chinese army, who found it anyway, and it went on display for a time in Shanghai. After that, it ended up at a state-run circus in East Germany, which went bankrupt following the collapse of the communist bloc. When Lanoyle pressed further, asking more questions about where this creature came from, both hoaxer and corpse disappeared. Over a year later, in the July-August edition of the journal Cryptozoologia, the sculptor who created the supposed corpse came forward admitting everything and explaining how he had done it in an article that translates to "The Frozen Mannequin of Bourganeuf." He stated that the Yeti de Bourganeuf hoax was admitted to by the creators and was done to honor Bernard Heuvelmann's Minnesota Iceman creation. It was done by Emmanuel Castiles Janssen, an animal sculptor and a collaborator of the magazine, and was manufactured to showcase Janssen's skill. The Yeti is often mistaken for the famous Minnesota Iceman, which happened in 1968. In the article, it also says that in the July to August 1998 issue of Cryptozoologia, that two friends of his have helped other people who wanted to make a giant copy of Bernard Heuvelmann's Frozen Man. In fact, it was a sculpture made with sponge rubber on which hairs of horsetail had been pasted. The eyes have been simply bought from a provider who specialized in taxidermy. As always, thank you for watching and supporting my channel Sasquatch Secrets. I'm Nikki Colon. You can find me live every Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Time. Please remember to hit that like button, subscribe, and most importantly, share this video. I'll see you in the next chat.
All right. So that was the short video. I gotta stop it. Okay. Yeah, that was AI voice, Nikki. It says weird things. It doesn't pronounce things quite right. I don't know. The last couple ones I did, I just used my own voice, you know. But yeah, there is that was done with the AI voice, Nikki. Well, it does make it easier for longer things, right? But I don't know. I got rid of that one because it started acting up and wouldn't say my last name correctly, and that just irritated the crap out of me. So literally. Anyway, so that is, I'm gonna bring this one up. The Yeti de Bourganeuf. Okay. And as the short video showed, you know, it took a life of its own. People grabbed screenshots of it and photos, and then they're making up complete and total alternate stories behind the Yeti. And it is well known, that Christian Lenoel had gone and researched this Yeti. Now, it was never here in the US, as far as I know. It was never over on this side. Okay. It's always been there in France, and it was lost there in France. We don't know where it is now, or if somebody has it in their home, or if it's in a museum somewhere, that still, we don't know that. But he did find that there were a lot of stories about it. People wanted to make up stories, but in fact, Emmanuel Castile did come forward and say, yeah, they came to me and they asked me if I could make a copy of Bernard Hoovelman's Minnesota Iceman. And that's what he did. And in the article, it says that, he just purchased regular old eyes, taxidermy eyes, and what was the other thing? Oh, the dentures and stuff like that he put into his sculpture. And he has his site right out there. I had it on the video, but I don't think I listed it on here because it's a weird site. But he obviously does work with that type of creation work, and some of his work is just absolutely amazing. And he admitted to it. He did it. He did it. And how can, so now we've got people that are going to deny, even when people say, I did it, I had the work. I couldn't find the background photos of him working on it. Supposedly there are photos of that, but I just couldn't find them. It's kind of a deep dive you have to know where to go. And it's not in American Google. It's like French. Everything's in French. So it's hard to navigate if you don't know French. Maybe somebody out there who knows French and can read all the fine lines and, can go the right direction. But I was having to translate things as I was going, as I knew, okay, this makes sense. Go here and there, and then throw it into Google Translate and figure things out. But that's the truth about the Yeti. Okay. That he was created. I'm going to say, I can't remember it was Abpar, a group called Abpar that wanted the actual creation done. Just made out of sponge rubber and horse hair. The actually hair from the tail. It was very specific, and created this creature. Let me look in the. Okay, if you guys have any questions, just let me know in the chat and put them in all caps, and that way I can find it easier. But it wasn't the first time he had been asked to create a frozen man either. He made that clear that, in fact, it was he had other people who wanted to collaborate with him on creating more frozen men. So, and that was in 1998, I believe, that happened. It was 97 that the actual frozen man, or the cadaver, or whatever you want to call it, had occurred in France when it was being shown at fairs. It was being shown, kind of like a carnival type situation there in France. So what other information? I think I mean, it's not oodles and oodles of information. You really have to dive a little bit deeper for some of this. We did find out that there was also supposedly there is a newspaper reporter with other photos. I couldn't find that. I couldn't corroborate that, so it never made it into my video or anything like that. Let's see. The owner of the display at the fair disappeared, and the corpse was never seen again. The cryptozoologia, which is called the Virtual Institute of Cryptozoology. And the actual article translates to Bourganeuf frozen mannequin in 1997. It is in French too. That one is in French as well. I don't know. I think I do have it. Do I have it here? Yeah, this one right here. That's in French that I had to translate to. But that to me is receipts, right? That's showing a path of proving what it isn't, more than anything. So that's it. That's the whole story of the Yeti. Now we go to see, here's the two put together, the Minnesota Iceman and the Yeti put together. People think it's the same thing. Not the same thing. And of course, the photos of the Yeti have all been coming out in black and white, but it happened, quite later. It could have been in color. It's just people want to make it seem like it's older. They want to make it seem like it's, from maybe the 30s or 40s instead of something created, much later. So there you can see how the Minnesota Iceman has his hand up and it looks different. Of course, one of the eyes of the Minnesota Iceman got shot and all that stuff. And it's clear that the Yeti has both his eyes and his teeth and has that weird grin on his face. So, hey Jay, good to see you. So yeah, it's pretty open and shut. There's not a whole lot to fluff about this story. But what's happening is newbies and other people coming in, they're grabbing these photos online and they're just making shit up. They're just making stories. And that's where I was our favorite group here, Bigfoot Believers. There's a bunch of Bigfoot Believers actually, but this is the really huge one, the one that has like 81,000 followers on there. And I came across, there's the picture, right? He's got the picture up there. And then he makes this huge story about what it is. And he says, this is what it says. I know you guys won't be able to read it because it'll be too small on your screen. But it says, a frozen juvenile sass discovered in 1981 on top of Mount St. Helens after it blew. Not the Minnesota Iceman, not a fake, not made for a movie. It was real. They got DNA. Who said anything about DNA? Okay, hair and flesh samples. Then they found 12 other dead sass in the area and quickly removed them to hide them from the public. A clear and from all angles picture, but I truly have no proof it's fake. I think I just proved everything I need to prove it's fake, including the name of the man who created it. And you can go find him and talk. Well, I don't know if he's even alive anymore, actually. But the evidence is out there, And he just poured it on. But what gets to you even more than him just making up crap, right, is what happens after he does this. Because he doesn't just put it in one group. People grab it and put it in their group, put it in their group. So before you know it, it is all over. So I'm sure any of you out there who go to Facebook daily probably saw one of these posts from somebody, not necessarily the original guy who put it out, but from somebody thinking they're passing on some great information about proof of Bigfoot existence. And that's not what's happening, you know. And I'm going to read to some of these because I want you to see the mind, how the mind works with some people when they think they've got the correct information. So this one says, heard the military pulled a bunch of dead ones out there after it blew. So in this case, totally believable photo. Totally believable photo. Next, nothing looked that good after the eruption. And we had started to get arguments at this point about, he was claiming that it was found on the top after the explosion. And people start talking about, well, that's funny how there's no singe marks. He's not burned. He's not, other stuff like that. And then you had crazy saying the whole mountain's gone. There are people out there that believe Mount St. Helens is completely gone. I'm like, what? Wow. Where did I go a couple years ago? They have no clue. There are people out there who have no clue what's going on. They're saying it's fake because the mountain's gone. So the whole story is fake, therefore. In a roundabout way, I mean, it's kind of funny, but do they think nobody lives out there or nobody stayed out there? And I don't know. I wonder about people sometimes. But, and then Mark said, this other guy says, I watched that live on TV, referring to the explosion. And one guy says, somehow I can't believe. This girl goes, wow. Wow. Next, not a burnt hair on it. Find that hard to believe. And then a bunch of people commented and, just gave their opinion on that. Looks like he passed mad AF. Mad as fuck. Looks like the ape from the Three Stooges. Nope, does not have an ape nose. The next person. Dude, I always wanted that information. Yeah. Then you have, if it's on Facebook and on zero national or reputable news sources is what he put. Reputable, I think, is what he meant to say. Then it has to be real. And then, of course, it must be true. It published on social media. They aren't. One other thing to add, how many believe in the Roswell, New Mexico alien crash? And then it all went into some alien stuff after that for a little bit. Because, what is I gonna, I wrote it down. How many, okay. By the time he ended up having to turn off the comments, okay, it had 633 comments and it had been shared 283 times. That fast. So people are getting misled, and that's the type of stuff that we don't want to happen, right? Let me see, go to the next one. You do realize that Mount St. Helens actually blew off its top. Ever been there? We lived 50 miles away, and you never heard anything about the supposed find. This is coming from a John Brown. And then Brian said, the guy who posted it, blew the southeast side of the top. The northwest side was almost untouched, I think is what he meant to say. That's not true. I live in the UK and my family talked about this. I was in my 20s. So now people in the UK know more than we do about the mountains of the West Coast. So, and then there I am. I put my little video in there and got slammed for, yeah, because if it's on YouTube, it must be true. But I think this guy thought I was trying to claim that the Yeti was real. I'm not quite sure he knew I had claimed it was fake because I never said that on my post. I just dropped the link to my, video. So I'm going to give this guy the benefit of the doubt. I tried to reach out and I sent him a message on Facebook. He never texted me back. So I thought YouTube was, means it's real or whatever. And he never bothered to look at the video. That it's a possibility. So I didn't give him a hard time or anything. I just said that it's my video. I did the research and have the receipts, as does the MABRC, which is D.W. Lee's site, who runs Squatchopedia.org. Now, right now, Squatchopedia.org is down. For whatever reason, he's either working on it or fixing something, but you can't reach it right now. I don't know why the links aren't working. I'm sure Darren is just fixing something or uploading new material. But you can also go to the cryptocrew.com. They have a huge story and all the information about it on their site as well. Many people do. It's known by those who want the truth, who go out and do the research and check out stuff like this, like me. He makes a smart ass comment like, I'd love to believe in ghosts too. So that was the comment that made me think, oh, he thinks I think it's real. So then I just stopped commenting altogether. And by the time I came back, it was cut off. The comments were cut off. So let me see. Am I breaking up really bad? Or is it because I'm moving around? It might be because I'm moving around and getting off the mic. You hear it too? So I'm breaking up just a bit. Okay. Hold on one second. I might be able to fix this. Intermittent. Okay, intermittent. It's probably when I move around and I put my face away from the mic. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, can you guys hear me now? Can you hear me right now? I just need a thumbs up because I restarted all the audio. So I need to know you guys can hear me now because I don't have a check. I don't have Well, I guess I can check over here. Let me see. Testing. Yeah, it looks like it's working over here. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see if that works for a while. Also, if I listen to music right before the show, I always mess up the audio. So this will go on and on. And some people are. I've been up to Windy Ridge on St. Helens, where the blast traveled 600 miles per hour and decimated everything in its path, and no way this happened. The next comment says, looks legit. Looks legit. Could totally be a real pic. People are going to argue that anyway. No one needs to prove something is fake, just like in court evidence. I don't have to prove the tooth fairy is fake either. You cannot prove a negative. In this case, it's not a negative. There's facts. So that doesn't really apply. It's still choppy. I don't know. I don't know what I can do. I don't know. Maybe I'm too close. Well, let me know if it gets too irritating, and I'll just end the show. I don't have any choice, right? The cat was back behind the computer. Maybe something got kind of pulled a little bit. That is a huge possibility. It's good for you, Sandra? Okay. Well, I'll keep going. If it's way too bad, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I don't hear any of that. So can't prove a negative. Let's see. What else? Why did the government hide? Oh, he's talking about UFOs. Where did you discern? Oops, I changed it. Where did you discern this information? 12 others. Exactly. Now somebody's starting to question Todd Fox, or it really should be the first guy, Brian, whatever, where he got all that information. Where did he get it from? But we can't even ask because it's turned off. Now, these ones are classic. Right here up at the top, Peterman puts Crypto Crew link up there, and DW Lee puts the link up there too. You know, they just don't believe. Somebody dropped a photo of Rick Dyer's suit in the freezer, Bigfoot in the freezer, saying, I believe these are one and the same. Really? Really? Super fake. The OG Todd Standing hoax. What? Now you're saying it's the Todd Standing hoax? See where all this goes when you don't have the right information? Crazy, right? I don't know why this person's talking about asthma and anxiety. I was walking through the woods and behind his Bigfoot out and tripped me. Bigfoot stuck his Bigfoot out and tripped me. I fell onto a thorn bush and he laughed his furry ass off and ran away. Been a believer ever since. Oh, wow. Fake. My grandpa said when he worked for the CIA, they had staged this whole operation. My grandpa tried speaking this out to some people and was killed, but he had told me this was a very top secret experiment. Message me for more details. Whoa. I even missed that one. Carl Cardella says that his grandfather was CIA and they staged this. Wow. We have all the information for this, so that's a complete lie. Your grandpa told you, Carl. Oh man. Completely. And now there's my first post on this. I said, "Oh my God, that's a lie. That's the Yeti de Bourganeuf. Get it right." I should have put in that's the fake Yeti of Yeti de Bourganeuf, but I didn't. And again, I couldn't go back and change it because it's all turned off. No proof it's fake. No proof it's real. Who has the body? Who are they withholding information? Who has the DNA results? There's the DNA stuff again. Just because you never seen it doesn't mean it's not real. Nice. Looks legit to me. Why hide proof, especially 12 in Washington? Right? Fake. There's somebody who said Trump said it's real. Oh, bull crap. This is the Milwaukee Bigfoot. I think they meant Minnesota Bigfoot. Minnesota Iceman. Oh my God. And they said the Milwaukee Bigfoot. That's choice. That's good. Jeremy says that this was found in 1981. Why is this picture in black and white? You would think something this significant would be in color. Yeah, you're right. Not fake, genuine photo. If it's real, then praise, I guess. Looks legit. Bigfoot hut. Somebody posted a Bigfoot hut that they found out in the woods. I don't know. Real looking Bigfoot corpse and fool people. I know a few people who can make a very real looking Bigfoot corpse and fool people. Wow, that's cool. Are they extinct now? I remember the news taking bodies in bags off the mountain. I believe this for sure. And there we go again with the Washington, the military helicoptering out Bigfoot bodies off the mountain. And we've had people come forward from the National Guard that say that never happened because we were too busy with saving lives, with our main goal of saving people lives, not animal life, people life. Hide their existence. That chick goes into just the eruption, what it was, what it happens. I see a penis. Somebody says, I'm with you, Brian. That's some crazy stuff. I believe in Bigfoot. That is really well preserved. Don't look a day older than a week. Good point, right? I have seen nervous ones over the years. It's Chaka from Land of the Lost. Oh my God. MK Davis started that too. About this? What? Where was I? You do realize it's saying 1981. I believe this like I believe we landed on the moon. No one needs to prove it's fake. It's on believers to prove it's true. That's always a topic, right? Who's the one that's responsible for proving the existence? Is it the people saying they exist or the people saying they don't exist? Is it true that they have Neanderthal DNA? We don't know. Nobody knows. Not even Melba Ketchum. I was going to try to check on her to see where she's at. It's going to be like a future show. I want to do where they're at now. Melba. Who's the other guy doing the DNA study right now? Oh my God, I can see his face, but my mind is totally. I want to say Haskell Hart. It's not Haskell Hart. It's the other guy. One of you guys will put it out there. Dang it. I don't know why I can't think of his name. Need more info. Nope. No DNA, no hair, no flesh. You're speaking bullshit and you know it. Not Brian Sykes. He passed away. The guy who's collecting samples right now, or has been collecting samples for the last year. Where is he? North Carolina? Shit. I don't know. Darby Orcutt. Thank you. It's such a weird name. I can't never think of it, Henry. Darby. He's the only Darby I've ever heard of. Darby. Wait, was there a movie about leprechauns and a Darby in that? See, I don't know. Got news for a bunch of you people. Our government has hidden a ton of stuff from the public eye. Now, I personally have never seen a Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but many people who live in bear and lion country have never seen a bear and lion. Do they exist? Good point. I mean, right? Darby O'Gill and the little people. See, you knew what I was thinking about, Henry. We're like, it's because our birthdays are the same. We kind of like our mind meld. I knew there was a Darby O'Gill. Oh, okay. So why would the government hide the existence of an animal? In the case of a Bigfoot, okay, we're talking about a very large creature that is supposedly very strong, right? We don't know how harmful a big animal creature like this could be. We think they have intelligence, right? They're sneaking around. They're stealing the chickens. They're stealing stuff from gardens. And they're elusive. They're not being found on a regular basis. You know, people claim, oh, they're in my backyard every weekend. But then the minute anybody goes over there to see them, they're not there. That is not consistent. Those type of sightings don't count. You have to have sightings that can be repeated over and over for science. That's where the studies come in. That's where habituation would come in those situations. Just like, you know, the mountain gorillas, all of them, they were able to follow them and find them every day. And and record their habits and their eating and raising families and all of that. That's what needs to happen, but will never happen because even if we did find one, could we ever find it again? Could we duplicate that over and over to substantiate a study, to maybe try to come up with some type of number for their existence? How many are there? We will never, ever find that. And we have to face the facts that I think, in my opinion, the sightings have gone down. I think we're really close to them not being existent. I think there are still some out there, but I feel like in the next, 20, 25 years, we may be looking at the end of it, the end of their existence. You used to hear about babies being seen. I don't know how many are still being seen, how many young juveniles are being seen. So I don't know if anybody's keeping track of that. But the government would only keep it from us to prevent hysterics, to prevent the weirdos going full ballistic out into the woods with their guns and shooting and everything and anything that's moving, in the forest. So that would be the only reason really for them to do that, is to not create a panic. Because you're going to have both sides, people fleeing from the national forests and never going back or spending any money in those areas. And you're going to have people going in that are the bad kind who want to kill these creatures. And when you have mass people out there with guns, it's always bad news for somebody. Somebody's going to get hurt. So that's my opinion of that. Oh God, Jen, I know what you mean. I ate right before the show and I was so sleepy. I'm like, oh my God, the show's coming in like 20 minutes. I want to take a nap. No, I can't eat and then do a show. I have to eat afterwards. It's nap time. Nappy time. Dallas says, I believe. Nice pics. Why would they be kept secret? Just more horseshit. Pictures don't prove this is real either. Do better. That's my opinion. Most idiotic page ever. I agree, Greg. Most idiotic page ever. This is the worst Bigfoot group ever. The stuff they allow to be posted is pretty ridiculous, actually. Final proof. Oh, John. Yeah, no. That is not final proof. Five-minute nap live. I can put on my sleep music. I've been doing that audio music, to help you sleep. It works, man. I'm out fast. Oh, oops. I hit the wrong thing. Oh, that might be it. Okay, that was it. That's why that came up. Why did I have that highlighted up there? I'm having a hard time believing this. I live in Portland and I remember when the mountain blew. They found no remains of Harry Truman or David Johnston. Why would they find the remains of multiple Sasquatches on the top of the volcano that was obliterated? Yep. For real. Why? I don't know. I don't know. Let me see. But that's what happens, right? This is what happens on Facebook groups. Things just get carried away. Other people are just looking for some clicks or views. They're going to make up their own stories. That's why people want to believe really bad. They want to believe this stuff is real. It's like the power of visual imagery, even poor quality, right, will convince people. You know, that even the stump squatches convince people. Why is that? I don't know why that is. It's just something in some of us that want to believe so bad that it's real. It's easy for us to get sucked into that. Let's see. In 2020, it became more apparent to me that the population in the areas I searched seemed more likely to be low, very low to non-existent. This was due to not see the tracks that would warrant they're there. Yeah, yeah, for sure, Jonathan. You know, especially for researchers and investigators who have a specific area that they go to all the time and have maybe in the past recorded footprints or other signs of another animal out there, and now they're not. For that's data. That's part of the data that, well, something was here and now I don't seem to see anything here. Roku Jepta says, I don't think Bigfoot is dying out. I think people are getting less observant of their surroundings. That could be too. But it doesn't explain the researchers who have been doing it for years seeing less. I don't know. I am quite sure that every area is going to be a little bit different. That won't help. It won't help that there could be less out there because they've just moved. They just got moved due to fires or floods. We've had tons of that happening in the last 5 years. Lots of wildfires. British Columbia has been decimated by fires. We've had a lot of fires, and then flash flooding has been happening right now. All of Arizona, New Mexico, we have just had massive mudslides and devastation going on because of the fires we had. Now all of the monsoon season is here. We're getting hit again and again. So, that changes things out there in the wild. They need to move around. They're not going to be able to stay in the same place. And that's why, when massive big stuff happens, like that, you have to be able to move yourself around, check other places out. Like, I wouldn't go to any of the fire areas anymore. I would go to the next area with the next water, the next resources. That makes sense too. People are too busy. I think they move around. Agreed. Yeah. People not wanting to be in areas where they know they are being observed and hunted. Then I came across the term and studied hybridization, where one species is able to breed with another similar species and produce viable offspring, but these offspring can't continue to breed out. And Red Dead Redemption. Oh, man. So why do the question remains is why does the cryptid community, their tendency is to accept stories without verifying sources? So if we break that down, it's hard to verify encounter stories completely. That's why we have encounter story channels and a few channels like mine who discuss things and how they happen and could they happen, what makes them, viable, because I just don't want to hear, the same story. Oh, I was walking down the trail and I heard something, I heard a rock get thrown. I heard a snap of a twig and I heard some thump, thump, thump. And then this hairy creature walked out in front of me and it looked at me and I was scared and then it went off. They're all the same. Most of them are the same. So all I can say is, wow, cool story. Yeah, that's all you can say. You can't verify it. You can't do anything with it. It's just the story. And I know I have a lot of friends who have these stories and they are amazing. They are when they're your friends and they saw a Bigfoot, and it makes you believe a little more when it's somebody you feel is more credible. You want to believe. So you're like, oh man, why would he lie? Why would Jeff lie about his sighting? Even if he was 19, why would that disturb him the rest of his life? Jeff doesn't seem to be the type that would, create something. So those type of stories make me want to believe in it more, that something happened. He did see something out there. And it's interesting, but that's what it is. That's where we're at. Why is it that he's also been out in the woods every year since that happened and he's never seen anything again? That he's been in places that I imagine they're all at. So Wizard says, this leads me to one hypothesis. Could Sasquatch have been a hybrid to, say, Gigantopithecus blacki and early forms of humans like Neanderthals and have rammed their course, now diminishing in population? Could be. Could have been one little fluke. And creating, this creature was a fluke. And now it's dying out. I don't know. They were hybrid species from the start. So like they were a hybrid species from the very start. Could be. You're talking about what, 4 million years ago that started? It's a long time for that to occur. But it has to start. Maybe even further back. What if it happened when the monkeys and the apes did the split? that was 10, 12 more, right? 10, 12 million years ago. When was that? Do I have a, let me see if I have a thing. What if it happened? See, I'm thinking like Homo ergaster, Australopithecus boise, somewhere in there 2 million years ago, something happened. I don't think it happened later than that. I think it happened earlier. Yep. But I've heard people think that it happened much later, like 1 million years ago, after Homo erectus and Heidelbergensis, somewhere in there. But who knows? I mean, we're just all pitching ideas, right? We don't know because we don't have that skeleton. We don't have that piece of the pie, that little piece. Bye, Henry. Have a good one. Yeah. Thanks, Sandwich. And that's what I like to do is just discuss it, right? I'm not here to start crap normally. I did start out with wanting to know why people make up stories. You know, why do they not want to find the real answer? All you have to do was take that photo and put it into Google Photos, and the name pops up, Yeti, the Bourganeuf. And from there, all the articles. So why do people lie like that? You know, for their own gratification, their own clicks. And on Facebook, that does absolutely zero for you. It's not like monetized. Absolutely. We could be experiencing the last of a species. Could be. I mean, you've got a lot of people out there who are giving it their all, you know, that we all know. And you know, you have people like the Olympic Project and Brent, and you, Jonathan, and your end, Steve Coles, and you've got some good people down. We got good people all over who are out there doing the best they can and still coming up with just the wood knocks, the whistles, the, I don't know, rock throwing. You want to put that in there because bears can't throw rocks, you know, so it's got to be a Bigfoot. But that's it. You never have the video or even the person saying, "Oh, I saw the Bigfoot throw a rock at me." You just see the rock come. So anyway, what else? Posting, I talked about that. People reacted emotionally and then they attacked your credibility. Real researchers were accused of not knowing. These are all my my notes of what to talk about. So also, people believing all this, there were no police reports. There's no wildlife agency or anything like that over in France. Of course, they think it's here, right? the story was made up happening in Washington. So if you go back, you're not going to find these things. You're not going to find the facts. Police reports, agencies confirming it, media coverage. You're not going to find any of that because it never happened here in the States. I wouldn't write off all that audio evidence. It's all data, all of it, right? I don't throw the baby out with the water. I'm just saying that has to be attached to something more significant for that to have a whole lot of meaning. Otherwise, it's deadfall. It's a chipmunk throwing something or popping. Have you ever heard a chipmunk pop? Make that popping noise? Loud. It's really loud. I never knew a little thing that big could make a really loud pop out of his mouth. The growls, a deer growling. I never heard that until somebody sent me the video of a deer growling. And I was like, holy crap, that would scare the shit out of me. You know, there's so much out there that we do know. So, and hey, something walked up to my tent. I don't know what it was, but something walked up to my tent and chawed at me. And I don't know what makes that. And I couldn't find anything that was similar. So you're left with questions, right? People up there up in Mount St. Helens, seeing Bigfoot. They're putting out reports of still seeing Bigfoot up there. We have expeditions up there all the time. People are going up there and actively searching that area because it is a mecca for Bigfoot. The whole Pacific Northwest. You get grunted by owls. Yeah. When we were in British Columbia doing a night hike off of Deer Lake, there were some birds. Well, screech owls. Where's Bill finding the trackway? I think he said they were not screech owls. They were a different kind of owl. It was an owl to me, but it was screaming at us as we were walking by it. Really creepy. I thought it was a screech owl because it was screeching. Barred owl, probably. Barn owl, barred owl. I don't know the difference. I'm not an owl expert. It was an owl, but what? I did not know wild boars growled. I came across a few in the middle of the night and they growled at me in the swamps of Florida. Oh, I think anything in Florida would scare me. Anything. For real, I think Florida it seems like it just wants to kill you. From seeing, well, he's not Central Florida Bigfoot anymore, Matt. He's Central Kentucky Bigfoot. But when he had his little expedition group out there, you know, and they were attacked by mosquitoes and everything out there, just you're getting the environment is against you to begin with. But yeah, you have to deal with pigs and snakes and gators and bugs out there. That does not seem fun to me. Not at all. At least in the Pacific Northwest in British Columbia, I wasn't afraid of walking because I wasn't afraid of snakes. Here in the Southwest, we have a shit ton of snakes and a lot of dangerous snakes. So you have to really, really pay attention, where you're walking. And I always have a walking stick. I need it anyway, but you really want it to poke around in front of you if you're off trail, because you cannot see rattlesnakes. You can't see them. And the rock mountain snakes, they're kind of a grayish blue. They blend into the rocks perfectly. A black bear. Hike with Mike says, biggest situation I had in the swamps of Florida has been circled by a black bear in the middle of the night. It was intense. Okay, so tell me this, Mike. You were in a tent. Were you in your tent when this happened? Or were you were walking and it was circling you? That's my first question. Oops. I had a huge owl land over my head while in a tree stand. It was awesome. They have huge talons. You could rip your face off. I guess Mike already clicked out because he's not answering. I wanted to get to the point where if he was in a tent and he had a bear circling him, what did he hear? Did he hear snorts, rubbing, scratching, the huff that comes from a bear, He could obviously tell it was a bear because of those things. And I wanted him to verify that. As I don't know if anybody else here has been surrounded by a bear. I have an imagination about how it would go and what it would be like and what I would hear. But I have never had that happen. I've never had, from what I think, I don't know. It could have been a bear. It could have been a bear. Ooh, my internet just went down. Okay, it's coming back. Okay, he did. Mike is here. He just wrote a lot. I was in a tent. I quickly crawled out and got some wood to the fire and get the light, then banged on the fire ring, and then I sang Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song, and the bear left. But yes, I heard the huff. You heard the huff. That's what I didn't hear. Whatever was directly outside my tent didn't sniff at the tent, didn't claw at the tent, didn't touch the tent, but I could tell it was right at the tent. Because when it chawed at me, it was right where my head was. And nothing, no sniffing, snorting. And then it went to the garbage. And I would have expected to hear more of a bear sound there too, and that didn't happen either. Juvenile bear looking for territory. Are juvenile bears who are newly, say, away from their mother, are they more dangerous? I always wanted to know that. Are they more on the edge? Do we need to be more careful with younger bear than older bear? Or are older bear just stronger bear and can kill you? Yeah, right. No, I know, Jen. It's just, I'm just being my own devil's advocate. That morning after we found foot runs, we found bare feet prints all over the place. And they weren't huge. They were like our size, but I wasn't walking around barefoot. Nobody there except for these kids were walking around barefoot near the creek, but they were smaller feet. And we discounted any bare footprints by the water, right by the water. But yeah, there were really there were prints. There were prints around. But I had to freeze. I was frozen. I couldn't move. You don't know what you're going to do. You know, I'm brave walking around out there with other people, but alone in a tent that didn't have a bottom, I was scared. I was scared. Black bears are reasonable. I can't deal with brown bears or cougars. Male juvenile. It huffed, growled, and clicked its jaws. That's another thing, right? You hear that that they snap their teeth together. She is at my side. I think juvenile bears are unconfident and tend to climb trees. I'm talking black bears, right? The green swamp wilderness in Florida is really intense. That's what everybody says. For sure. Was anybody in camp? Unknown sleepwalker? Oh no, not at our camp. Jen and I knew where everybody was that night. It was the last night. Thomas Steenberg and Brent Dill had already left. And the only ones in our immediate area, we knew where they were. Jay and his wife were in their little mini trailer. And the door to their trailer makes a lot of noise. Like this huge creaking sound. It wasn't them. And next to them was the girl with the dog inside her little bitty tent. And you could hear the dog inside the tent with her. That dog never barked the whole night. You could hear it shake his head and his tags would jingle. And Dakota's tent was a little further down from me and Jen, because it was me and Jen and then some trees, and then Dakota was on the other side. The ones that were by Dakota, his tent, had what are droplet sounds, or droplet around them, like they dripped off of hair or something. That could have been because they crossed the little stream there and they were dripping. We saw the water. There was watermarks coming up out of the creek. But Dakota also says that something touched his tent or moved his tent, and that he heard mumbling that night. But Dakota wears a CPAP, a portable CPAP. So when that happened, he says, I'm not having any part of this. And he put his CPAP on and tried to go to, and he went to sleep. He didn't want to deal with it. He wasn't really a Bigfooter. Okay. Dakota was there to cook for us. He was a barbecue guy. So I think he had enough. Oh man. Yeah, I've heard about that. Pee out the window. A guy that sleepwalked and liked to pee. Well, I was up that whole night. I didn't really sleep till the early morning, like at 4 or 5. I dozed off for a couple of hours, and then we were all up early. Jen and I had to be on the road because we needed to go get to Seattle to get our room because we were going to stay one night, and then we had our flights in the morning. And, we didn't want to go straight to the airport all gross from camping for a week. So we got a room and we knew we were leaving, so nothing, we didn't have anything with us prepared to record anything. Jen has recordings off of her phone. I have recordings off of my phone. But that's about it. I do like tents either. I don't. You don't like tents either? Yeah. I don't mind sleeping in tents when I'm prepared, when I have my gear, when I have my pew pew, when I have protection. I do not mind at all. But man, when you don't have anything, you don't even have bear spray. It's kind of unnerving. You'll sleep in the Jeep. Man, I've been looking at what do you call it? Campers to put on the back of my truck. Thinking, well, maybe I don't even do a trailer. Maybe I just put a camper on the back. They're expensive too, though. Dang. And I don't even want anything like super special. Just, you pop the top and there's a bed. But dang, there's some really nice ones out there. They cost a lot of money too. Oh yeah, I don't think I could ever sleep in a hammock just out in the open like that. Yeah. You imagine a bear just using you as a little toy? Oh my gosh. No, could not do that. For real. Taco shells for bears. Sandwich says that the hammocks are. Oh, Mike says hammocks are taco shells for bears. Well, that reminds me of the story of Keenan Geiger. He's Mountain Beast Mysteries friend. Now I forgot his name. I'm sorry on my names. Anyway, Keenan was saying that he was out there in his little bitty, what are they called? The little bitty sleeping bags with the hood that bivouac. Is it bivouac? I want to say that's the name of it. And something had reached in and grabbed his head with the hand. A big hand came and grabbed the top of his head. That's scary. That's very scary. Campers are top heavy. Well, this camper, it lays down and then it pops up. It's like goes down. So you have a very little popped up above the cab. I always wanted a Honda Element. I thought was a great car concept. Honda Element. And if I'm just going out there overnight, then I just sleep in the back of the cab. fine. Don't have to worry about a 10 or nothing. But I don't sleep well in the back like that. But I do it. I do it for the quickie overnighters. I think more than anything, it was just the sound of when I moved around on it. It creaked. It because it was rubber. So the rubber on the leather seats was making like creak, creak, creak. That was annoying all night long. I think I need to cover it in like a sheet, maybe, and that would be better. Jen says, that's why I like my Outback. Fold the belt everything down and put the sleeping pad in there. Can stretch out and go to sleep. Yeah, for sure. You need to stretch out because even I mean, I'm only 5'5", but I still couldn't completely stretch my legs out in the back. I had to kind of push them off to the side. Doesn't make sense they'd want to pick a fight with a human-sized being and risk injury, which for them can lead to death. Right. It seems like most you can scare away, make enough noise to get them spooked. But if you're in areas where there are a lot of campers, I think they get pretty desensitized, right? They're not going to be as afraid as you think they are. Honda Elements were junk. The drive shafts were too thin and it was always getting stuck. Oh, you worked for Honda, so you know. Grizzly mountain lion wolves, that's another story. That's pretty why I had to let it go, grass, pretty much. Mike says, reptiles are easy to deal with. Everybody worries about snakes and alligators, but predatory mammals are much more dangerous in the woods and swamps. Huh. I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, I could probably stay away from the alligators, all that, but I don't know. I think your numbers are increased potentially walking onto a python or I don't know, whatever other venomous snakes are there in that swamp. Water moccasins, maybe. Roku says, seeing a giant manimal is really freaky for people. Imagine what we look like to a Bigfoot, like a bunch of hairless mini me's running around, being foolish compared to how they live. Right? Well, we have a lot of shiny things. I think they like shiny things. And that's where Brent came up with the idea of hooking up the lights outside in the dark. He strings lights up out there in the middle of the woods. And it's really cool looking, but as an attempt to attract a Bigfoot, putting, not such invasive lights out there, but just the dim string of lights and trying to attract something to come into us, because I don't think we'd ever get to them. I think we need to attract them to us. Yeah, they just want to be left alone. But the problem is if you see them, right? You could step right on them. You just have to, it's about being cautious where you're putting your feet and having good gaiters, snake gaiters. Oh, I'm getting sleepy, you guys. We might be bringing this to an end pretty soon. At Brent's lights on the third night, I was sitting on the log next to Thomas. I got that fear chill up my spine. Ooh. Yeah. When I was out and I was walking back towards the lights, somebody was on the floor. I think it was Dakota was laying on the ground and I couldn't see him. I was blind. I almost stepped right on top of him. He was just chilling on the floor in the woods. I'm like, holy shit, you were right there. I looked down and his face was right there. Never come across a skunk ape. So true, eyes. So true. Gotta be fearful of the other people out there. Crazy nut jobs. You can sleep really good when you're out there. I can't. I hear everything. Takes me a long time to fall asleep. There's even times where I put earplugs in so that I can zone out all the wildlife sounds, crickets and frogs and whatever, so that I can sleep. Otherwise, I can't. Like I can put my sleep music on, but it can't be the one where the night sounds or the water rushing or those ones. I can't do those ones. What else do I have? I had the question, why do you think people become hostile when hoaxers are exposed? There's a huge group of people who do that, right? You expose somebody, prove it. Prove it. They're real quick to say that. You're losing connection. I think we have a big overcast here too, because every now and then my internet kind of drops. You know how in Africa, where leopards hunt and kill gorillas and chimpanzees, would bears and mountain lions do the same thing to Bigfoots? I think Bigfoot would be the primary top of the chain. I think. I mean, survival of the fittest, right? If you've got a sick Bigfoot, it's gonna get taken down by a bear or whatever. So, but not like on Sasquatch Sunset. Do you see that mountain lion eat that one Bigfoot? Oh, that was such a crazy movie. In the swamps of Florida, camping humans are not a threat. Only crazy people like me camp in the swamps of Florida in the summertime. So the human threat is low. Is it anywhere? Is it anywhere they're going to do a sequel on? Are they going to do a sequel on Sasquatch Sunset? I hope not. Good Lord. I know, but I don't do it when I'm alone. I do it if I know I'm around people, you know. I just have to get some sleep sometimes. Like the night, Jen, the night that the tree fell, was that the first night? Was the first night, right? I couldn't sleep that night either because I was listening to everything. And what was happening is I was getting audio paranoia. I was listening to the creek and it was babbling. It's a babbling brook, right? I was hearing the babble and it sounded like that. So I was hearing that all night. I didn't sleep that first night. But then the second night I was fine. Third night I was fine. Fourth night, was that the night everybody left? Well, Saturday night, that's when we were hearing like growls and the whole situation changed. Everything changed that last night we were there. Everything felt different. We did not do a night hike that night because we were all exhausted. Brent and Thomas were gone. We just hung out by the fire and it was crazy. It was crazy different that night. I don't know what happened, but it was different. Which Bigfoot documentary is more realistic? Find me. Bigfoot Expedition, Bigfoot, or Monster Quest? Oh, you mean Finding Bigfoot, Bigfoot Expedition, or Monster Quest? They're all entertainment. I don't think any of them. Although I like Monster Quest the best. I liked how the format. I like the guy's voice. So, yeah. And I don't watch Expedition Bigfoot at all. I liked Finding Bigfoot because I liked the town halls. I used to really like the town halls. Yeah. Dakota and I both heard the growls and Curious Cryptid. They were happening that early. So, because when I heard the big growl, I went from where I was sitting to the other side of the fire because I got freaked out. I had to be facing that way. Yeah. He was hearing stuff that was happening behind him. But then they left. And then we stayed up for that another, I don't know, half an hour maybe. So weird. That place is kind of weird. Say you're driving along a busy highway on a really wet night and you saw Bigfoot running beside your car and be free running through the vehicles. How scary will that be? In The Animal Was Afraid. Dude, it would be weird, yes, if it was running alongside me in the rain or whatever. That would be scary. And it would be probably taller than the vehicle if I was in a car. Ugh. But that, oh, excuse me. See, I'm getting sleepy, guys. When you're driving at night, doing, night ops, driving along a road nice and slow, that could happen. It could happen. when I was sitting there, maybe the second or third night, and Tom is flashes flashlight across there. I was looking around, thought he heard something. Yeah. Well, we know there were animals, but we didn't really see any sign of animals during any of our treks. I mean, other than a few elk poops, some really old bear poop. But like, I didn't see any signs of raccoons or skunks. Yet I know there was one there that night because I heard it scurry right along the side of my tent. And obvious, it was something really little running across. Raccoon or skunk, one of the two. I didn't smell skunk, so I don't know which it was. Oh, yeah, Thomas. Yeah. Yeah, there was some weird stuff happening, but it was still fun. It was still a blast. And we ate very well. We were eating really, really good that trip. You did smell skunk? Funny, when I heard the footsteps cross next to my tent, I got a faint whiff of skunky smell. Nothing too pungent, but just stinky. I didn't smell anything that night. I just heard things. I heard all kinds of things walking around, bumping into the chairs. You know, we had the big circle of chairs. Something was moving those. Went down to by where we had the shower and then came back up. Ugh, God. The freakiest one was whatever happened in between Jen and my tent. Something was it definitely in between our tent. Like I said, if you saw Bigfoot on a wet night and you were running beside your car, the fear in the Bigfoot's eyes and how scared it will be, and it runs back off into the woods. Oh, if it's scared, it would be scared. I'm sure it would be scared of running into a vehicle. I think they know to stay away. You know, I think the ones we're seeing are juveniles. They're just learning to stay away. I think all the big ones, all the older ones that know better, they don't come anywhere near us. It's complete accident when we see them. For sure. Well, you guys, I am going to call it a night. I'm going to do it. It's a good place to stop. Thank you guys for listening to me jibber jabber. Does anybody know if there has been any studies showing the current sightings average versus sighting averages from, say, back in around the 1970s and 2000s? That'd be a perfect thing to find out. I mean, I'm sure you could take the information from the Bigfoot mapping project and have that done. I'm sure he could do that on his older classic map, the one where he's also put John Green's map in there, sightings in there too, I think. So that would be good. I would be curious to know what those numbers are. What's the comparison? If we are looking at a way blown up number for now compared to back then it's just we're looking at something different. We're looking at people with more access to some of these places, and people, I don't know, more ability to report things. Yeah, the mapping project. He has said in the past, what's his name? Is his name Scott? That if you tell him, he can ask it to do certain things, get certain information, compare certain information. I'm pretty sure I heard him say that. Right? How do they know the location of the hunter? There's a lot of questions to be had about situations like that. Are there really men in black? Are there organizations out there meant to cover up anything, cover up Bigfoot, cover up assassinations, cover up whatever, is that real? I don't know. Maybe. What are the possibilities of revenge? Listen, if we accidentally kill a Bigfoot, I would definitely be worried about the family being around there and wanting to get my evidence and get the heck out as fast as possible. For sure. For sure, for sure. So, everybody, it's time to say goodbye. It is time. Oh, I didn't take that off. Why did I do that? It won't come off. There it goes. Thank y'all for being here. But there you have it. The Yeti de Bourganeuf was never real. No mysterious creature prowling the French countryside, just a fake creation, a fabricated story, and a community so hungry for confirmation that facts became the enemy. Okay, so it's a cautionary tale. We want to believe, but when belief overrides the evidence, when hoaxes get more support than the truth tellers, we weaken our credibility. So if you're a true researcher, a real seeker of Sasquatch secrets, then your best tools aren't cameras and casts, they're logic, patience, and integrity. And with that, please be sure, folks, to hit that like button before you leave and share it around. And I'm going to see you out there in the next chat. So see you guys later.